Here's something nobody talks about. There are people who sleep 8 hours a night, work out regularly, eat relatively well, and still feel like garbage by noon. I was one of them. And the reason wasn't some rare deficiency or a broken thyroid. It was three things I thought I was already handling. Turns out I wasn't. This chronic low-level exhaustion used to feel like a personality trait. Like it was just who I was. Someone who needed 3 coffees to function, who stared blankly at screens by 3 p.m., who couldn't remember the last time they woke up actually looking forward to the day. And the frustrating part? All the advice I kept getting pointed to sleep, exercise, and diet. Which, great, I knew that. I thought I was doing that. So I started digging for something deeper, something more sophisticated, iron panels, gut health. I was one rabbit hole away from buying a pineal gland decalcification protocol off some guy's Substack. And then I came back to the basics and actually did them properly. That's what this is about. The first thing I changed, I stopped treating caffeine like it disappears after a few hours. Most people have heard that caffeine lasts 5 to 7 hours. What they don't know is that 5 to 7 hours is the half-life, not the total duration. After 5 to 7 hours, half the caffeine is still circulating in your system. Then it takes another 5 to 7 hours for half of that to clear. So if you have a coffee at 2 p.m., by 9 p.m. roughly 50% of it is still active. By 2 a.m., when you're supposedly deep in restorative sleep, 25% of that afternoon cup is still in your bloodstream. And here's why that matters: the sleep that happens late at night. The deep, slow wave stuff is where the real repair happens. Memory consolidation, cognitive processing, muscle recovery. Adenosine clearance, which is the compound that makes you feel tired in the first place. Caffeine physically blocks adenosine receptors. So if caffeine is still floating around at 2 a.m., your body's nightly maintenance cycle is running at half capacity. The fix was simple: no caffeine after noon. I have one in the morning, one about 2 hours later to carry my productivity through the morning. After lunch, nothing. Yes, I still feel the crash in the early afternoon, that's the trade-off. But when I put my head on the pillow, I actually sleep. Section 2. Sleep opportunity. Everyone talks about getting 8 hours. Nobody talks about the math required to actually get 8 hours. I take between 30 and 45 minutes to fall asleep most nights. So if I want 8 hours of actual sleep, I need to be in bed by 9:15 p.m. for a 6 a.m. wake up. Not 10 p.m. That gap matters. Over weeks and months, consistently shortchanging your sleep by 20 or 30 minutes builds up into a debt that blunts your focus, your mood, your motivation. Not dramatically. Just enough that you feel slightly off every single day. Give yourself more time in bed than you think you need. It sounds too simple to work. It works. Section 3. Circadian rhythm. Your body has an internal timer, and that timer runs almost entirely on light. Bright light tells your brain it's daytime, suppress melatonin, stay alert to keep going. Darkness triggers the opposite. Slow down, wind down, prepare for sleep. The problem is we've surrounded ourselves with artificial light that lies to our biology. Screens, overhead lighting, even lamps. They all emit enough blue wavelength light to keep your brain convinced it's mid-afternoon even at 11 p.m. So I made 2 changes. First, no screens in the 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Not scrolling in bed, not just finishing one more thing. Phone face down, laptop closed. The difference in how fast I fell asleep was almost immediate. I made my room genuinely dark. I hung a thick blanket over the window. It is not aesthetically impressive, but at 5 a.m. when the sun starts coming in, my room stays dark and I stay asleep. Your brain will naturally wake you up when light hits it, which is great if you want to rise at sunrise and terrible if sunrise happens an hour before your alarm. Section 4. Breathing. Last sleep thing. And this one surprised me. I was reading a book called Breath by James Nestor, which goes deep into the science of how we breathe. And he makes a compelling case that nasal breathing during sleep is significantly better for your body than mouth breathing. Better oxygen exchange, better nitric oxide production, better sleep quality overall. I noticed I was mouth breathing most nights because my nose got congested the moment I lay down. I started using Breathe Right nasal strips. Not sponsored, just what I tried, just what worked. My sleep quality noticeably improved. Small fix, surprisingly large effect. Section 5. Movement. There's a counterintuitive rule at the heart of energy management. The more you use, the more you have. Physically active people don't have less energy at the end of the day. They have more. Movement upregulates your baseline. It's not a temporary boost like caffeine. It's a structural change in how much energy your body is capable of generating and sustaining. Exercise essentially trains your system to run at a higher output. Now, here's the thing. I thought I was already active. I play hockey once or twice a week. I lift weights a few times a week. But I also spend most of my waking hours sitting at a desk. And it turns out that long stretches of sitting, even when broken up by intense workouts, carries its own metabolic cost. The body learns what it spends most of its time doing. Two things changed this for me: a standing desk and a non-negotiable daily walk. The standing desk alone shifted something. When your body is upright and engaged, it doesn't slip into the low output, low alertness mode that sitting encourages. The walk, even 20 minutes, reset my focus and energy for the afternoon in a way that coffee never reliably did. Get up, move, especially if you work at a desk. 3 to 5 minutes every hour, a real walk every day. The energy return is disproportionate to the effort. Section 6. Diet. Diet is the third leg of this, but I'll keep it short, not because it doesn't matter, but because it's genuinely the most individual of the three. The foods that drain one person's energy sustain another's. What your ancestors ate, how your gut is built, your specific sensitivities, it all varies. What's almost universal? Processed food and refined sugar spike can crash your energy in ways that feel completely out of your control. Staying hydrated is not optional. Beyond that, find what works for you specifically. But here's the sequence that actually matters. If your sleep is broken and your body isn't moving, dietary optimization is mostly noise. Fix the foundation, then fine-tune the food. The thing about being chronically tired is that it becomes your baseline, so gradually you stop recognizing it as a problem. You just assume this is how you feel. This is who you are. A person who needs caffeine to function, who can't focus past 3 p.m., who moves through the day like they're slightly underwater. None of that is inevitable. Sleep, movement, and diet, handled properly, not just nominally, can change your entire operating level. Not dramatically in week 1, but consistently over time in a way that actually sticks. That's the work. It's not glamorous, but it's the thing that actually works.